Hello, welcome in this talk. Odoo Purchase automate suppliers follow-up based on on-time deliveries. My name is Gilles Merckx and I'm a business analyst at Odoo. During 20 minutes, I will present you how some new features of Odoo can really save you time and ease your life to manage the purchase process and to work with reliable suppliers to track what your suppliers are going to do. Because purchase is one of the most widely used applications in Odoo, we tend to forget that it's a really critical activity. In this talk, I will show you why purchase is really vital for many companies and how Odoo 14 can help you to better manage this process. So first, the question is, why purchase matters? Why does it matter? Actually, it first matters for finances. Up to 90% of the cost of a company can be related to purchase. This is especially true for manufacturing companies, and therefore if you manage better your purchase process, you can really affect positively your bottom line. Second, purchase also matters for production continuity. If a single item is missing in the supply chain, it can block the whole chain. In that situation, you will have production delays and in turn customer delivery delays, which will lead to less satisfaction of the customer, which will impact negatively your bottom line and your branding. So for those reasons, purchase is clearly a critical activity, a vital activity for many companies, but especially for manufacturing companies. In addition of being critical, it is also super challenging. Why? Because there are so many items you need to purchase, and with tendencies like lean manufacturing, like just-in-time, a single item missing, a single purchase order not on time can result in blocking the whole supply chain. So if there are so many suppliers to follow, so many items to track, it can really become a nightmare for the purchase responsible. Let's see together how Odoo can help you to better manage that. In particular, you need to use Odoo to better follow up your suppliers. Actually, most of the time, you would like to have more information on your suppliers, but you don't have really the time and the resources to get the information and to evaluate your suppliers. With Odoo 14, you can now better track them, to not blindly rely on them. You need to remain cautious. You need to make sure to work with reliable partners. So let's see how the new features of Odoo 14 can help you to better manage the purchase process and avoid errors which will hurt your company. So the first feature of Odoo 14 that I want to present you is the on-time delivery ratio. With this, you can avoid to work with unreliable suppliers. So when you create an RFQ, so when you want to generate a purchase order, so you first create the RFQ. When you create the RFQ, one of the first things you want to do is to select the vendor with which you want to work. When you select this vendor, actually, a new ratio will be displayed on the screen and tell you how reliable is this vendor, which is really a critical information that you get easily without any additional step, which is really nice. This on-time delivery ratio is actually the number of units delivered on time by the supplier divided by the total units number of units delivered by the supplier. And this is therefore a really interesting information which tell you how reliable is the supplier. If the supplier is not reliable, you can also decide to send automated reminders such that the supplier has to confirm that it will deliver the items on time. And you can configure yourself how many days in advance you want this automated reminder to be sent to the supplier. In addition of that, because sometimes maybe you will make an RFQ with a reliable supplier, so you don't want to send an automated reminder, but you get some information, or there is like a big flood, an earthquake, and you are not sure that you are going to be delivered on time, so you can send it afterwards automatically, manually, even if it was not planned automatically. After having made your RFQs, you need to track these. If the RFQ is turned too late into a PO, it is likely that the PO will be delivered with delays, which you want to avoid. And so track your RFQs to make sure these are turned into PO in the right moment. For that, we have two new tools, which are the RFQ dashboard and the deadlines. Let's see how it looks like in Odoo. You have the dashboard on the top, which tell you how many RFQs you still need to send, how many are waiting, how many are late. And in addition, you have now the order deadlines, which tell you which RFQ is going to be late when. And so you can really focus your attention on the most urgent ones so that you don't have oversight and you don't have delays after, which is exactly what you want to reach and what you can do more easily with Odoo 14. The final thing is, once the purchase order has been delivered, you want to take a step back and analyze the figures. To analyze the figures, you have now some additional KPIs that are displayed on the top of the RFQ menu, which tell you the average order value, the purchase total value over the last 7 days, and other things. So this gives you additional information that you can analyze to make better purchase decisions and reduce cost, which, as we have said before, is critical to with purchase, and which is really interesting because purchase represents a big share of the cost in many companies. So all these features are in Odoo 14 and can help you to save time, to ease your life, to manage the purchase process and help purchase responsible. With this, you will have more control, which will result in less human errors, less delays, more profit, more customer satisfaction, and so use Odoo 14 to better manage your purchase process. So now that we have introduced everything, let's do it live in a demo, and let's show you how we can do that in Odoo in practice. So I will just turn my screen and open this DB. Actually, we have an Odoo 14 test DB to show you how we can work with these features. So here we have a simple case with, I took a manufacturing company manufacturing smartphones, and this is like a simple smartphone. So if I look at my product, I remove the filter can be sold, and I see that I sell smartphones, and I have 3 components for this smartphone: PCBs, printed circuit boards, screen, and shell. And so here, because we want to focus on purchase, I will focus on purchasing these 3 items to be able after to manufacture the smartphone. The purchase process here will occur in 5 steps. First, we will create the RFQ. Then we will track the RFQ, follow the RFQ. Finally, in third step, we will turn the RFQ into the PO. Fourth step, we validate the PO. And finally, we analyze the figures. So first, let's see how it goes, how the new features of Odoo 14 look like when we create the RFQ. So now here, I have 0 RFQ. Let's create one. I select one vendor. Here I have vendor 1, for example, and it tells me 100% on-time delivery. If I click on this ratio, which means that the supplier always delivers on time, if I click on it, I can see that there is no data. This is because there is nothing that has been ordered and delivered by this vendor. So by default, it is 100%. But let's see here, if I edit it, let's, for example, buy 1 screen. Okay, of course we would buy more, but we purchase 1 to start. And let's put a receipt date, which would be like tomorrow. So we expect to be delivered by tomorrow. I save this RFQ, I confirm the order, I receive the product, I validate it. And so, yeah, apply, and that's fine. And so I see that I was meant to be delivered on the 15th of September, and I have been delivered before. So now, if I do a new RFQ, and I select vendor 1, I still have 100% on-time delivery ratio, because the only observation has been delivered on time. So let's know something else. We want to purchase 3 shells for production. And I just put a receipt date. I want to be delivered yesterday, which is obviously not possible. This is just an example to show you how the on-time delivery ratio will evolve. If I click on confirm order and I receive the product, I validate and I apply. What I can see now is that the effective day is after the scheduled date. So now let's go to the RFQ, create a new one, and select the vendor one. We can see that the on-time delivery ratio is 25%. Why? Because we have delivered the first unit, the first screen on time, but the 3 last units, the 3 shells, have not been delivered on time. It means that only 1/4 of the items ordered have been delivered on time. And so we see this ratio, which is really, really interesting. Directly, you select a vendor, you see a bad on-time delivery ratio, and you decide, should I change of vendor, or should I maybe take additional steps? So one additional step that you might want to take is to ask for a confirmation. So let me save this. If you go in configuration, you can ask for that kind of confirmation to appear. Let me show you. In the purchase settings, you have here the receipt reminder. Okay, with this receipt reminder, you can automatically send RFQs to your suppliers, especially to those who are not reliable. This will be sent. Automatically 1 day before. I could switch that. I could change that. I could say, look, no, because I need some time to search for alternatives if I have a mistake. So I want to send this automatically 7 days before. If there is anything occurring and I want to change the time and I want to send a reminder at another moment, I just send the reminder manually, and this should appear here below. It's still, I didn't put a product, so maybe that's the reason. I put a PCB. Okay, I confirm the order and I save. And now if I go to print, this is no, this was for the RFQ, so let's make it back to make sure you understand how it works. So I have vendor 1. I ask for a confirmation automatically here, and I add a product. So let's the PCB. I save it, and now here I can do send reminder, and this should be sent here. Okay, this is there. Sorry, it wasn't there the first time, but here we have the reminder, and so the supplier will just reply to this, and this gives you more control on what you do. Something else that is also possible, that's not new, but it's to use warning. Warnings, it's a way just when you create the RFQ, when you select the vendor, it will just show you a message, look, there has been some problem with this supplier, or this supplier is not reliable, and you can send messages like this to give some additional pieces of information. I will not focus too much on that because it's not new. Okay, so now we have seen how to create the RFQ. Now we want to track this RFQ. We want to be sure that this will be delivered on time. So if I have an RFQ here, the other are POs, so it tells me 1 is still to be sent. So I send by email as before. I did not put a mail address. Let's put mine, and I send it. Then if I go back to the RFQs, I can see that 0 is to send because I have sent the RFQ, but now it's too late. So I see what I have to do here, and I see which orders, which RFQs should be turned into PO rapidly. I see that 1 is already a bit late because it was planned for today, and the hour is just before the hour that it is now. So I'm already a bit late, but I have received the confirmation for the suppliers, so I can turn the RFQ into PO. Maybe I had forgotten, but because of this order line, it is now easy to see how it works. So that's a nice feature. And another one that we can also display with this screen, if you want, for example, we have here is the PO, but it would be exactly the same if it was still an RFQ. You can schedule an activity to do unreliable supplier, call this, you schedule it. And so when you go in a list view, it's super clear, you have a to-do there, and you know that you have to do something, you click on it and you search for it. So now with this, with the RFQ, the RFQ dashboard, with the order deadline and the next activity, you have really visual reminders that tell you what you have to do so that you do not forget to turn the RFQ into a PO at the right moment. And so you avoid some delays in delivery, which is really one of the most important things with the purchase activity and the purchase application in Odoo. So once you have tracked your RFQ, the next step is to turn it into a PO. That's something we have shown. There is nothing specific to say there. You know it works. When you have received the confirmation from the supplier, you can confirm it. And once it's a PO, of course, you still need to follow it. And you can go to purchase orders. And this is the usual screen, except that you have also the next activity available here if you want to define extra actions. And now, as before, you still have the receipt date on which you can really order and see which one is the most urgent one, and then you can receive all the products and so on. So that's really how the purchase process would occur. But once it's done, once you have many orders that have been done and everything is fine or not, sometimes you want to take a step back and say, well, let me see if I can make additional cost reductions, if I can reduce cost, if I can maybe send more RFQs or anything. I would just see some KPIs here in the RFQ menu. So this is an extra pieces of information that you can use to make better decisions. These are related to PO, to purchase order, so average order value, which is here. If you filter, for example, I don't know, if I do start, you see it removes everything, but this stays here because it's KPIs for all the POs together. So average order value of the PO, which is given here, and how much has been purchased with the last 7 days in terms of amount. Finally, I have also the lead time to purchase, which is the average time between the confirmation of the PO and the reception. And we have here also the number of RFQs sent over the 7 last days, which is also an interesting information. So with all this information, you can really improve your purchase process. You can track it. You can follow your suppliers, which is really, really super important. As we have said so many times, we want to avoid delivery delays. We want to avoid supply disruption, production disruption. We want to avoid customer dissatisfaction, and we want to improve profitability. And we really believe in Odoo that all these new features of Odoo 14 will help you to reach all those objectives. And so I really hope you have enjoyed this presentation, and I wish you really much pleasure with these new features of Odoo 14. So thank you very much for your attention. And of course, I am available for some questions if I can help or if I can give any additional information. Thank you.
Hello everyone, thanks for joining this live Q&A session about on-time deliveries. Thank you, Gilles, for this presentation. My name is Quentin. I will be hosting the Q&A session, and I will be asking the questions for you tonight. First of all, we've received a few questions for the moment, so I will start with the first questions. If we don't have enough questions, then maybe I'll ask questions of my own. So first of all, we had a question related to the ratio. So is the ratio based on the purchase order and not on the items, or how does it work exactly?
Hello, Quentin. Thank you. So the on-time delivery ratio actually is calculated from the number of units that are delivered on time, regardless of the product, regardless of the PO. So it's not based on the number of PO delivered on time, but really on the number of units. So it's really based on the units and on the items specifically.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Other questions we had, I think it's gonna interest also our community. It was asked before. So will this feature will also be available on the community version, or is it only for the enterprise version?
Actually, it will be available on the community version. So good news for the community.
Perfect. Thank you. I'm just checking. Here we have another question about any possibility to have the functionality of reminders in Odoo 12.
No, I mean it's from Odoo 14, of course. So it's the new version, so it's not going to be added to the previous versions, and so only from version 14.
Okay. Another questions that we have here. You said in the talk that you were asking for confirmation 7 days before the expected receipt date. So what happens when the receipt day will be, for example, in 3 days? Will it infer that the confirmation will be required right away? So what happens if, for example, you set 7 days as a reminder, but the receipt days is in 3 days? Will the email automatically be sent?
That's a good question. I didn't check specifically this case, but I guess it will not be automatically sent. However, actually, when you make the request for quotation, if you're going to be delivered in 3 days, or if you turn the RFQ into a PO in 3 days, there is no sense to expect a reminder 7 days before. If there is an event happening and so something changes, you can always actually send the reminder manually. So you just go on the action button on the RFQ and you send it manually. So by default, you define how many days up front you want to send this reminder automatically. If anything happens and you need to change your plans, you just send it manually from the action button. So there is really no issue with this.
Okay, thank you. I also had a question in mind because I was wondering, okay, it's beautiful to have this availability ratio, this on-time delivery ratio on the PO itself, but do I have also a possibility to easily identify if a vendor is actually a good vendor and delivers me regularly on time? Can I see that elsewhere in the system, or?
So you mean you would like to see this ratio somewhere else and not especially directly in the RFQ?
Yeah.
So actually, this ratio is available on the contact. So if you go on the contact form, you have a smart button with the ratio. So that's the first thing. Then if you want to access it, mostly you will have to do it from the RFQ. When you make your RFQ, you will define the vendor, and as soon as you select a vendor, you will have this on-time delivery ratio appearing. And if you click on it, actually, you will have some reporting. And this reporting section actually is accessible only from there. But at that point, I mean, on this reporting page, you have the opportunity to change the filters and to see the on-time delivery ratio, the reliability of other suppliers. So you can access the information of other suppliers also grouped. If you want, for example, you know that you have one specific item that you purchase from 3 different vendors, and you would like to know which one is the most reliable, you can access it from there. So you go in the RFQ, you put one vendor, then you select the on-time delivery ratio, and then you can remove the filters to see for this specific item which vendor is the most reliable, and if there are differences that matters. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So I will be able to find information in different places to be able to decide.
Yeah.
Great. Another one, I didn't see it in the chat, but I was interested to know because we sent indeed a confirmation email. Is there any possibility to adapt this message, or how does it work exactly?
Yeah, actually, you have the opportunity to change it a bit as most of the mail templates in Odoo. So what you need to do in that case, so by default, there is a specific mail template for this reminder. If you want to change that, you will need to turn yourself in debug mode, developer mode. Then you go to the technical menu, you select the mail templates. And in this mail templates, you will find the reminder one, and then you can update it as you would do with any other mail in the system. And something maybe, Quentin, that I might add that I didn't add before, is that when you send the reminder to the supplier, I didn't show the view of the supplier, but actually the supplier receives a message with a yes button. So yes, I confirm that I will deliver on time, or I update the date. So it was planned for tomorrow, but it will be 2 days ahead because I have an unexpected event. And so in that case, when the supplier will click on it, it will automatically put this information into Odoo. So on Odoo, you will see next to the receipt date that it has been confirmed by the vendor, which is something I didn't show. And also you have a confirmed receipt date on Odoo, so yourself. So if your supplier maybe did not reply directly on the button, but told you by phone that they could confirm, you can confirm also manually that this will be delivered on time, and so this will appear in the system. So you can see on the RFQ and on the PO, if it will be delivered on time or not, if it has been confirmed by the vendor or not.
Okay. Maybe another question. Can we send the reminder even if the order is still in the state of RFQ, or as I see?
So you would like to send a reminder if the order is in the RFQ state. So you can do it. You can send the reminder in any state. But typically, you would send a reminder if you have turned it into a PO, because as an RFQ, you do not expect to be delivered because you did not yet confirm to the vendor that he is gonna get the business or you are gonna work with him. So typically, you would send it after having turned the RFQ into the PO, but you can send it also before manually. It's always possible. You have the button available.
We have here a question. Is there any configuration to do not consider late delivery in they actually ask if it's possible not to consider a delivery if there is, for example, an unexpected event. I think you already tackled this issue.
Yeah, the thing is that you cannot really impact the way the ratio is calculated. So if you receive a delivery on time, but at that moment you cannot validate it, for example, you have no internet available, and you validate it 2 days ahead, 2 days after, and then it will be noted too late in Odoo, then it will be too late in Odoo, and so it will be implied in the on-time delivery ratio. What you can do is, before validating late, just changing the receipt date to make it fit and to make sure that it does not affect negatively your on-time delivery ratio. And you can always think that when, on the long run, when there are many items purchased, I mean, one order late or not will not affect really much the on-time delivery ratio.
Okay, thank you very much, Gilles, for the presentation and for answering this QLA live session. We had also other questions, so I suggest you guys connect to product booth rooms. If you have more specific questions, don't hesitate to join us there, and we'll be able to answer your questions about this feature. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.
Thank you, Quentin. Bye-bye.